G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. I don't have the face cam for this video because my computer's being a bit silly and is not letting me record, so I'm doing it on my phone. But this is a really cool video. We're ranking up a mutant to rank 3. It's our third mutant, and we have a lot of options. One option I considered was Havoc. He's a decent champ, but I don't know, I just don't really enjoy using him that much. But I was definitely considering ranking this guy up to rank 3. One of the other options was Colossus, but and he's a really good champ, but I think he's kind of lost some value over the last few months, and he's also unduped, so I'm hesitant to rank him up. Another option was Cable, who is insane with the Apocalypse energy. The only problem is we don't have an Apocalypse to go with him, so he's going to stay at rank 1 for a while. And yeah, so the final option, and the one we're going with, is Professor X. Roll the clip. So if you didn't catch my absolutely ridiculous spring cleaning opening today, we managed to get this guy from one of our 6-star Nexuses, and I was really happy. And right away when I got him, I said, yep, we're going to rank 3 this guy. And I know a lot of people ask, why are you ranking him up? He's not suicide friendly at all, and you always run suicides. But the thing is, I don't always run suicides, and it's nice to take them off now and again. And yes, he's not that effective with suicides. He's still usable, and I'm going to try and find how sort of the optimum rotation for me with suicides, because I think it will come in handy in the future. But to really get the most out of this guy, you want to run him without suicides. So we are taking suicides off for this rank up and gameplay video. I should put a disclaimer out. I'm definitely not the best Professor X player. There is quite a lot to him, and I've learnt today, especially after using him. I've pretty much tried to use him all day in a bunch of content, and yeah, there is quite a bit of a learning curve for him to really use him and to get the max potential out of him. It is a very basic concept to his rotation, but the timing of it is very specific to get it completely right. And yeah, you'll see in quite a bit of the gameplay I show that I don't get that right a lot of the time. But I'm getting better at it, and it is super satisfying when you pull it off. And you land those massive special attacks. But overall, I'm really, really ecstatic to have this guy as a 6-star. I actually don't have him as a 5-star, so yeah, I missed quite a lot of featured crystals going for him as a 5-star, but yeah, really, really stoked to have him as a 6-star. And he's just one of the most fun champs in the game, which was one of the main reasons why I actually took him rank 3. Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't enjoy using Professor X. He's so fun building Prowess. It can be semi-painful ramp up, but it's not too bad, and the payoff is huge. And he's unlikely to see much war action given the current meta being Protect. He's not really a Protect-friendly champion. Although I have heard of friends who have used him against Protect fights. But I'm probably going to stay away from him until a new meta shows up that he's good for. Or I need him for a certain path or something. So there we go. He's at rank 3, level 45. He's our third mutant, sitting very nicely alongside Omega Red there and Magneto, of course. So yeah, the mutant roster is looking really nice at the moment. The other thing I'll quickly mention is about his Sig Abilities. So when his Sig Ability is active, he gets basically passively gains his charges, channeling charges. And his prowess are more potent, but it's not something you need. It's nice, but it's not essential. I didn't realize this until today, but his block proficiency is actually really nice, 73%, and you'll see that come into action in quite a few fights that I showcased today. He also has a really nice amount of synergies, so we're going to use a few of them today. But actually, most of the gameplay will be without synergies. But not this one. This is full-on synergies in Realm of Legends. Against Winter Soldier, we've made him a horseman with our 4-star Apocalypse. And yeah, we pretty much want to see how much prowess we can get before we start out damaging Wolverine's regen. So it is going to be quite a slow build up. As at this point we're pretty much this was just me practicing getting the max amount of prowess per cycle of mind control. So you charge your heavy to gain your channeling charges. They're at 100 right now, which is the max. And when I launch my special attack, the mind control starts, and it's on a timer, which is paused during the special attacks. And you see I'm just building up prowesses right now. This is pretty much the bones of the Professor X rotation. And you see I was able to get 6 prowess from that. You can get more, but I accidentally missed a parry there. And you see I think that was one of his synergies activated that made him go unstoppable. It was the Apocalypse, the Horseman synergy. Unfortunately, I mistimed that special attack, but yeah, it's all part of learning. Alrighty, this is a bit later in the fight. We've got a bunch more prowess, and we're starting to really start out damaging Wolverine's regen. We're hitting massive special attacks, and you'll see that soon once we get into our next mind control phase. We're just building up to that right now. So we're going to refresh the prowess. So the way you refresh the prowess is after you throw a special attack, you dash back to cancel your channeling, and that will refresh all the prowess you have. Now, the most common way to build your prowess is by pressing block, and that will give you an additional prowess on top of the one that you get from your special attack. That's how we're able to get 2 prowess per special attack. So we're getting ready for our last mind control phase. Hit with a massive special 2, refresh the prowess, and then hit him with another special 2, and that takes him out all the way from just over 50% to 0. So yeah, that's just a glimpse of what his special attacks are going to do in this video. Alright, so now we take him to KVQ. I missed a parry there like a genius. So this is the mutant quest. So it encourages you to use mutants that have prowess buffs. And Professor X is pretty much the prowess king alongside Magneto at the moment. So we're pretty much going to start the fight as normal. We'll just build out to our first mind control phase. Hit him with the special 1. Get the double prowess. Hit him with another special 1. And by hitting him with a special attack while we have prowess, it gives us regen and also the passive furies from the node. So even our basic attacks are going to hit really hard right now, as well as our heavies. So we're hitting 11k heavies, not even critting. I think critting they were hitting for like 30k. So yeah, Professor X is insane for this Cavalier EQ chapter. We got a bit unlucky on the crits there. So I mean, he is a tiny bit crit reliant, but it's not too bad since you are able to throw many special attacks during a rotation, and that's the main reason why he's not so suicide friendly. Is because to build up his prowess, you have to usually throw 3 or even 4 special ones during mind control to ramp up your prowess. So if you are using him with suicides, you usually want to opt for the special 3 first to activate your mind control, and then you can throw a special 2 and then a special 1, and that does a lot of damage, but it's just not as practical as safely building the special 1 and slowly building up your damage that way. And I was really, looking back on it, I was really lucky to actually pull Professor X when I did today. Because I was actually genuinely considering rank 3ing Havoc. But after using Professor X so much today, I've just realized how much better of a champion Professor X is than Havoc. Like, they, on the surface, they actually are quite similar in terms of not necessarily their rotation or playstyle, but in terms of their abilities, like when it comes to non-contact attacks, energy attacks, as well as prowess. But Professor X can just do more stuff. And the only downside he has, for me, is that he's not as suicide friendly. Like, Havoc is a completely fine champ with suicides, but Professor X is significantly worse with suicides. But I'm still really happy that I ranked this guy instead of Havoc, and that I just pulled this guy instead of ranking up Havoc, because he is much more fun. And I think the biggest difference is actually his heavy range. So Professor X's heavy has enormous range that I realized today, and it also is very quick to launch. So when a champ is throwing their special attack and you're far away against the wall, you can just quickly throw off your heavy and gain some channeling charges, and they won't be able to punish you because you just recovered super quickly. But with Havoc, it's much different. His heavy is very drawn out and long, and also the first hit has an incredibly short range, and it's very difficult to heavy counter with that heavy attack. But Professor X's heavy is very easy to counter with, and it has the added bonus of his falter attached to it. So when the opponent hits into you, they falter, and you can just immediately counter with a heavy. So now we're in Act 7. We're in the last quest of 7.1 on the power shield and recharge path. So our specials are going to do even more damage here. And we are able to build our power meter just by holding block, which is really nice. So we're able to get to the special 2 really quickly. So we're going to use that to start our mind control instead of normally going for the special 1. And you're going to see some insane numbers here. Drax is being a little bit stubborn. He's not throwing his special attack, but we do get at him eventually. There we go. So we're just building up. We're going to get to just below special 3, and then we launch the first special 2. We're able to launch a couple in a row, I think. I didn't get the double prowess. I got the timing a bit wrong there. We nailed it there, though. And you see, these guys have a lot of health. They have like between 350 and 400,000 health. So to do that much damage in 15 hits is pretty nuts. Not many champs can do that. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough crits on that special, so we got him down to 2%. But we're just going to hold our block and then finish him off with one more special 1. So yeah, that was such a fun fight, man. This whole path is so fun with Professor X. I mean, it's fun with a lot of champs, but champs that have really ridiculous damage output on their special attacks benefit much more on this. You can see I have a Mega Red and Sabretooth on the team, but they were just for another thing I was testing. So this is basically, they don't actually provide any synergies for Professor X. So this is pretty much just synergyless Professor X you're seeing. Yeah, see, look at that. We can just charge our heavy for like 10 seconds. And then all Blade has to do is hit into us, and we can just immediately counter super safely. And we're already at 100 channeling charges. Just back on the Havoc thing, don't get confused. I'm not saying that Havoc is a budget Professor X or anything, because that's definitely not the case. There are things that Havoc can do that Professor X can't. Like, you know, he has that the feedback, as well as the extra energy damage, which is really nice. But Professor X just can do more, and I find him way more enjoyable to use than Havoc, and much less stressful. And is also much more forgiving if you screw up. So we're pretty close to taking this Blade down. We're up to 5 prowess, and he's at about half health. Get trapped in the corner and unfortunately I ate a combo, but we're able to recover by going into mind control. One of the really things about mind control is that it locks the opponent's power meter, or it doesn't lock it, but it prevents them from using a special attack, which I find a really cool and unique ability that I'm really happy that they implemented, because it is very unique and something I'm a big fan of. Alright, so I think this is the last fight we'll showcase for this path. It's pretty much going to be the same game plan as before. One of the other nodes this path has is Bubble Shield. So we saw that Professor X does have a really nice block proficiency, and we are also able to bypass Bubble Shield a bit with our Falter mechanic. We didn't right there, but we did in the other fights. And his Falter mechanic is really nice, because there aren't that many champs that can bypass miss, as a defender that you face. And it's a really nice way to get in intercepts, as well as just, regular openings. So yeah, it's something that we use a lot, that I've used a lot with Ghost in her phasing, because it's very similar in the way you're able to instantly retaliate, but it is a bit different, obviously, since you're charging a heavy attack most of the time when the opponent falters. So there we go, Hulk goes down. Yeah, really enjoyed using Professor X on this path, it was super fun. But now we're going back into Act 6. Act 6, Chapter 4, Quest 2, the Special Connoisseur path, which is a node that means you can only do damage from special attacks when you have Prowess. I timed that horribly then and ate a combo from Ebony Maw. This is one of the tougher fights on the path. There's not many champs that can do this really well. I think when I originally did this path, I used Human Torch with the pre-fight. Because this node has cornered, you need to have the pre-fight to avoid using debuffs. But Professor X does work for this guy, but you have to be really careful. But the one edge that Professor X has over other mutants is that he has an anti-miss mechanic. So when Professor X has at least 25 channeling charges, he can't miss, which is really going to come in handy in this fight to avoid Ebony Maw's Falter. And we're going to try and nail as many reparries as we can to stun him and get easy heavies in. But that's not the only way we're going to get channeling charges. You'll see we'll also be able to charge heavies like this and use our Falter to get up to 100 like that, which is a really nice way to build up to mind control. You can see we're hitting massive special attacks already, even with only 7 prowess. And this guy doesn't have a tiny health pool by any stretch of the imagination. We just refreshed the prowess there before they all expire, which was pretty clutch. And we're nailing the reparries pretty well. We're missing a few, but it's not a big deal. We're just going to charge the heavy where our Falter's active. And he was playing very passively, which is really good, because it lets us build all the way up to 100. So we can get ready for another batch of mind control specials. We're able to get 3 off this time. Use the second one to refresh, and then get up to 15 with that last one. So we're pretty close to taking him out. And we have lost a bit of health, but that was all at the start when we missed a parry, really. We haven't taken that much damage apart from then. So yeah, Professor X is a great option for this path. But the thing is, he doesn't work for all of the champs in this path. Like, there was a Claire before this. Again, I'm not the best Professor X player, so I'm not an expert on his good or bad matchups, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't work that well for Claire because of her Nullify. And there's also avoid later on in the path, which isn't great because that forces you to throw a bunch of basic attacks. And then you see right there was also a Thing who isn't Professor X friendly at all because of his protection. But for all the other fights, he does really well. There's an Electro, which is particularly annoying if you don't have a decent Electro counter. But luckily Professor X is an amazing Electro counter because apart from his first medium attack, all of his attacks are non-contact. Oh, sorry, all of his basic attacks are non-contact. And they all deal energy damage, which means he's a great counter for stuff like Korg or Killmonger. So it's similar to Havoc with his non-contact attacks, but I believe more of his attacks are non-contact. Havoc doesn't have as many non-contact attacks as Professor X does. So Professor X is unlikely to replace Omega Red as my main like Korg counter or Thorns counter in war and other stuff, but you know, he could come in handy for stuff where Omega Red isn't suitable. Like I would have loved to use this guy in the most recent variant 7 because he's a hero, you know, and yeah, it would have been fun to test him out there, and I might still do that. And once I get more comfortable with this guy, I'll definitely want to test him out and see how far we can take this guy into Labyrinth, as well as Abyss. I want to definitely test him against some Abyss fights and see if we can solo fights like Luke Cage, and other ones around the place like Mephisto as well. Because I've seen, you know, Bureau Man I'm sure you know Bureau Man is a top-notch Professor X player. There's lots of Professor X gameplay on YouTube, and is definitely the benchmark when it comes to Professor X. I missed a parry there like a genius, and I wasn't really missing parry, but it was very poor timing. But we're still hanging on, and our specials are hitting okay. When they crit, of course. And like I said before, it doesn't really matter that he has his crit rate is okay. It's around 25%, I think, but it doesn't matter that if you don't crit as much, because he has so many special attacks during his rotation that you really see a pretty consistent amount of damage. You're not completely reliant on one special attack for all your damage. And there we go, she's down. So yeah, Special Connoisseur is a path definitely made for Professor X. Now finally we're going to go, still in 6.4, we're going to head into 6.4.5 on the pull and selective time stream path. So this was a really interesting fight. So, and we actually fully boosted for this fight just to see how far we could stretch this guy's damage output. So we're running double mutant power boosts, the 200% and then the 12%, and then which was definitely overkill for this fight, but I wasn't too sure. And then also an attack boost and then a green boost as well. So yeah, we're boosted very, very much for this fight. Okay, we're just about ready to go into our first mind control phase, but you will notice one of the nodes is flux dispersal. So every hit will reduce our damage by 5% until we land a heavy attack. That will reset flux dispersal. So you see each special attack will start doing less and less damage. And you see the selective time stream activated midway during our mind control. So we didn't actually end up doing that much damage overall, but we were able to get 7 Prowess, which was okay. And it's a good setup for the next phase. But yeah, this was a super fun fight.
I didn't record the rest of the path because I thought it would be a bit too long for this video, but yeah, it was a really fun path with Professor X. And obviously one of the other nodes is pull, so that means you really want to use projectiles for your attacks instead of contact attacks. And obviously a large majority of Professor X's attacks are non-contact, so he works amazingly well for the pull node. Oh yeah, the other thing that I also don't hear many people talk about with Professor X that I really find quite beautiful is just the way the map looks as his mind is like warping the entire map. It's really quite beautiful, and unlike any other champion you see in the game, like the whole map's in this blue haze. It's really quite yeah, it really looks really nice, and I hope they do that more with some champs in the future. Alright, so we're able to get to our special 3. And this is going to do a lot of damage. And I think because of the power boost, it's going to boost us back up straight to a special 3. Because obviously during mind control, our special attacks cost like 70% less. So he can cheese a lot of nodes with a power boost, just because his specials do so much damage and they don't cost as much power as they normally would. So yeah, that was a bit of a taste of Professor X at rank 3. Obviously, I've still got a long way to go with him. There's a lot I need to learn, but I'm really excited to have this guy at rank 3 for the future, and I hope I can provide a bunch more exciting Professor X gameplay at rank 3, and maybe in the future at rank 4 in the future. So yeah, thank you all for watching this rank up video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.